All right. So, with the season coming up or already started for some of you, I wanted to go through 5 simple things that can set you apart this season. So, they require zero talent, it's just a commitment from you. And if you want the opportunity to play at the next level, these 5 things are going to show you, are going to show college coaches your dedication and show high school coaches that you are serious about playing at the next level. So, number 1, recovery is key. The season's going to be a grind, and if you can make sure that you're getting that recovery in, you're not only going to be creating a routine that's going to benefit you now, but it's going to benefit you in college when you are playing at that next level. So what does recovery mean? So recovery is looking at getting your mobility work in. It's working on getting your warm-ups in, getting your cool-downs in, making sure we're staying hydrated, fueling properly, and sleeping well, which we'll talk about later. So if you can create a mobility routine that takes 10 to 15 minutes, whether that's before bed, after a gym session, after practices, you're going to be ahead of 90% of other high school players. It's not something people do consistently enough, even the top tier athletes. I know talking to my university athletes, even trying to get them to do mobility and recovery is tough. Number 2, fuel properly. So your body is just like a high performance vehicle. Just like a Lambo, if you want to perform properly, you need to fuel it with the good stuff. So this means you need to dial your nutrition in. So there's 2 big issues I see from athletes I work with when the season hits. First, they don't eat enough. So going from off season to in season, traditionally you're going to be working a lot more. And with all the practices and training on top of that, if you don't eat enough, you're going to be running on empty, which is going to hurt your performance, and it could potentially end up getting you injured. The second issue is that you don't use the right fuel. So a lot of athletes struggle with getting the right food in and just binge junk food and fast food and soda. So the issue is you don't have as much time as you did before the season to prep. So I'm not saying that you can't ever have junk food like potato chips or fast food or drink soda, but you need to go with that 80-20 rule. So 80% good food, 20% junk max. The issue is if you eat junk food all the time, your body's not getting the fuel sources it needs, like the right kinds of sugars or enough protein to keep building muscle or prevent losing muscle. So you need to make sure you're getting enough protein in and then getting the good carbs in like rice instead of potato chips. So the easiest thing to fix this is have protein with every meal, even if it's just a protein shake with oats or cereal in the morning. Make sure you try to eat less processed foods. So what that means is things like rice versus bread and cooked raw from prepackaged, so like something like chicken. Make sure you have carbs with every meal, like rice or potatoes, and include fruits and veggies like a salad or green beans or berries if it's with breakfast. The third issue, get enough sleep. So when you come from the summertime and that weird schedule where you don't have school, you stay up all night, it can really screw you up trying to get back into routine. Sleep is essential for many reasons, especially if you're in high school. That's when your body can recover. That's when, and if you're in practice for 3 hours and getting hit consistently, you need that sleep to recover. It's also when the body works on building muscle, and it helps with brain function, which is going to help you remember the playbook and help you do well enough in school so that you can actually use the scholarship you get offered. The biggest issue I see from athletes is that they're not sleeping enough, and it affects you both mentally and physically. So if you average under 6 hours of sleep a night, the chances of you getting injured skyrockets. You're also more likely to get sick, which means you miss practice time, which means you less playing time, which means less offers. So how do you fix this? Create a nighttime routine. The better you create a routine, the easier it is to get to bed on time and sleep quicker. A few major things you want to dial in. Limit that screen time to 45 minutes before bed. Do something relaxing right before bed, whether that's stretching, reading, meditating, just something calming. And you want to keep the room cool and dark so it's easier to fall asleep. Fourth thing, be consistent. So one of the biggest issues I see with athletes is a lack of consistency. So you work hard when you show up, but you don't show up as often as you need to. If you want to play at the next level, you need to understand that there are thousands of other athletes that are trying to get the same goal as you. I guarantee some of them are going to be more consistent than you if that's not a priority. So you need to make sure you're going to practice, getting in the weight room, getting that speed and change of direction work in, getting that skill work in, and watching film. If you want to play at the next level, these things are things you're going to have to do anyways, even when you get there, so you may as well start now. Being consistent means showing up even when you don't want to. You're not going to be at your best every day, but if you show up consistently, you're going to be significantly further ahead than a lot of other players. So how do we fix consistency? You need to remind yourself why you play. You need to remind yourself why you want to play at the next level every morning. Motivation isn't going to be enough. You need to actually want it. For myself, I have little things like goals taped on my bathroom mirror to remind me of things in the morning. I also journal every morning discussing my goals and how I am going to get closer to them that day. So what I'm working on that day. And then the fifth thing is be mindful and present. So this is probably the thing that I found the most difficult to do. Being mindful and present means that you are where your feet are. When you're at practice, you are completely focused on practice. When you're in the gym, you're completely focused on what you're doing in the gym. When you're doing homework, you're completely focused on getting the homework done. So there are a lot of things going on in our lives, and it's easy to get sidetracked and distracted, thinking about homework after practice, or that test coming up while we're supposed to be lifting, or what coach said while we need to get that homework done. If you can be mindful, you're going to learn so much more at practice. Your skills are going to get better way faster. Your intensity is going to go up, which means you can get more out of each drill and lift. This is a very special skill that if you can get it sorted, it's going to unlock a whole new level. I'm 35 years old and I still struggle with this. It takes constant practice. So how do you work on your mindfulness? The first thing to fixing it is being aware of what's happening. If you feel like your mind is drifting, you need to learn how to snap back into focus. Something I found super helpful is guided meditation, like through an app like Calm, or listening to calming music and setting a timer to meditate for. I try to get 10 minutes of meditation in per day, whether it's in the morning, afternoon, or right before bed. You can always start with 1 or 2 minutes, just trying to focus on letting go of the thoughts in your head, and then progress from there. Another useful thing, if you're feeling stressed and overwhelmed, is to write down a list of everything you have going on. This way you can get it out of your head and deal with it later. One other thing that I learned from my sports psych is that you can have a physical object that you touch and put your thoughts into before practice or the gym or homework or whatever. And then after you're done, you go back and touch that same object to symbolize that you're free to think about them again. The example she used was treeing it. So you have a tree that you go and touch before practice. It drops all thoughts that aren't related to the practice, and then you touch it after to deal with all those thoughts again. So the 5 big things. Number 1, get your recovery in. Number 2, fuel properly. Number 3, get enough sleep. Number 4, be consistent. Show up even on the days you don't want to be there. Number 5, be mindful and present. So you're actually focused on the task at hand. If you can get those 5 things in, it's going to help you for the rest of the season and set you apart.